Hello, it's Brian Fern again, and here we are in the Casa Cascara project. And I thought you'd find episode 14 fascinating because this is the episode where you should be seeing a demolition machine busy at work getting rid of the roofs of Casa Cascara. But if we just pan round, I'm halfway up the hill towards the house, and you will see we've parked the car. And you'll see there is the demolition machine. And it's been stood there for 3 days because the president of the local residents association came out and stood in front of it to prevent it going any further up the hill, or at least threatened to stand in front of it. A rather sort of like Tiananmen Square moment, I suppose. Because they're very concerned about these scratch marks that you see on the road. And these go down the hill because the machine was unable to come up on a low loader. But these will all rub out with the rain that's due on Monday. And there are a couple of minor indentations of about 3 millimetres. And most of the marks are actually no indentation at all. But clearly the steel tracks have made some impression. And that's because the fellows who were bringing this machine had run out of tyres on which it is supposed to run over sensitive roads like this. As you see, there are 2 squash tyres down there. So they've brought up I think about 20 tyres, but it looks like somebody has stolen some of them. There's maybe a dozen old tyres there and a couple there, but they'll probably bring another van load. Here's while we've got the chance, here's the teeth of this thing. Look, this is what's going to eat the roof. And it literally pinches at the roof and chomps away. And look at the enormous hydraulics of it up there. And I believe this one extends 29 metres, so it's got a 29 metre reach, and it's a Volvo machine. Yes, that's it. It's called an EC290B. So that means it can stretch 29 metres, which should do most of our roof from one way or another. Anyway, what I'm going to do is walk up the hill because I need to have a video of evidence of what the road looks like before this machine moves any further. And we're going to go into a meeting this morning about this as to whether the machine moves up the hill or back down it. Now there's a thing about property healing is that nothing is ever quite straightforward, and that's very true of what we found out here. Because on Wednesday morning, it's Friday today, but on Wednesday morning we had a stand-up meeting outside Casa Cascara where we were discussing what to do about moving the machine. And the community president had brought along a lawyer, not the sort of lawyer I would choose necessarily, but she brought along the lawyer who works for the community, and he wanted me to put up a sum of 20,000 euros to cover the cost of any damage to this road. Now that seems a bit excessive for those scratch marks, but this is a private road. And as you see, it's rather nice. I mean, it's very Beverly Hills, twin road here that goes up to the estate. I'll show you Casa Cascara through here. Hopefully Merlin won't get run over. And that's over there. And that's the project we're working on across the way. I don't know if you can see that with the sun in the camera, but it's just through there. So I'll carry on with this video, slightly long-winded video, but quite an interesting story. So we're proceeding up and I'm going to walk all the way to Casa Cascara and tell you what we found out yesterday. So by going to the town hall yesterday, we were able to find out that none of the houses up here have what's called a certificate of first occupation. Now that makes them very difficult to sell because you're supposed to have a certificate of first occupation to show that it's a legal house. Now the houses are very beautifully done. Most of them are compliant in terms of their space per land. There you see Casa Cascara through there. Some of them are not, but they can deal with those individually. And many of them have a sort of license granted after the event. But the thing we found out yesterday at the town hall was that the reason the houses don't have their certificate of first occupation is that the road and the lighting and the drains and water have not yet been adopted by the town hall. In other words, they're not a public road and public utilities, they're still private. But when the estate is finished, or almost complete, like this one is, and this will be the first chance you have of seeing this view, I'll just go over to the other carriageway and show you that it's sort of hammerhead shaped estate. So there are houses that go to the right when we get to the T-junction there, and they look out to sea that way. That's due south. There's a crane over there in the distance. That's one of the last houses to be constructed in the present phase. That belongs to some Russians who've come to a standstill because the ruble is currently worthless. And some rather nice houses on the whole side. But the reason they don't have their certificate is that the road has not been adopted, i.e. it doesn't yet belong to the town hall, and so the town hall won't maintain the services. But what we find is the reason they won't adopt it is that it is substandard, and there is currently an order against the Residents Association here to, there's Merlin beavering away, thank you Merlin, take a bow. This road is substandard, and there's an order that it must be taken up because it's failing in multiple places. There's one place to see, for instance, a dip in the road there. Anthony's pointing at that, and another one over there, and another patch here. These are at the little roundabout, so I suppose this area gets quite a lot of weight. But this has had a patch put in it. But this road was put down just over a year ago, and underneath the asphalt is sand, and clearly that's going to shift. So bringing up the demolition machine might well cause some of this asphalt to slump. So it seems to me that the €20,000 aval, they call it, which is a sort of deposit to the community, would instantly get used up to rectify a situation which the community is already under orders from the town hall to dig up and put right anyway. So that's not really our responsibility. If anything, our bringing the machine here will in fact make things somewhat better for them, because it will squeeze out the sand if it's going to squeeze, or it won't. And they'll be able to see what's going on. I'm just going back there, another dip in the road just there. That is plot 2, we've talked about that before. That's the one that's got to be demolished. And there's plot 3, that's also got to be demolished. There's another plot there waiting to be built. Very smart looking plot. Be about €250,000 at the moment for that. Maybe more. And then going up the hill we come towards our neighbour's boat. There's Duncan's house on the top, and the smart modern place is another rather stylish dwelling. And there we are at plot 5, and you can see they've built the wall to the what will be the water cupboard, and that is going to be built up so as to support that cantilevered roof with the engineering bricks that are on top. So there you have the story. Every healing has a story to it, and this one's no different from the rest. Just want to show you the view from plot 4, because we talked about that in an earlier episode as a potential plot for another dwelling. Okay, that's all for this time. Thank you.